Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever wondered why so many big changes, whether in a company, a team, or maybe even just in your own life, they just don't seem to stick?
It's a really common frustration, isn't it?
It really is.
Uh,
And the sources we've looked into for you today, well, they reveal a fascinating and frankly kind of frustrating truth. Something like 70% of organizational changes don't actually achieve what they set out to do. That's huge.
it's a staggering number.
Yeah. So what does this tell us? What's going on there?
Well, it definitely raises a big question. Why are we, consistently falling short when it comes to really transforming the way we work or even how we grow personally? Our deep dive today looks at insights, especially from Guido Olomudzski's work, which suggests the answer might really lie in how we go about these changes.
How we approach them.
Exactly. It's about connecting insights from neuroscience, looking at new leadership styles, and even bringing in things like artificial intelligence.
Right. Okay. That integration sounds crucial. And it really sets the stage for what we want to explore today. We're diving into a whole collection of perspectives that really try to bridge that gap between human behavior and successful transformation. We'll look at why change is just so hard, what this idea of the unspoken has to do with everything, and how understanding our own brains and using new tech could be a real game changer for shifts in culture, in organization.
Get practical.
Exactly. Our mission here is to pull out those key nuggets of knowledge that can help you navigate change better, whether you're leading a team through something tough or just trying to adapt yourself.
Makes sense.
So let's circle back to that 70% failure rate. It's a pretty stark figure.
It really is.
It tells us pretty clearly that just, announcing a new policy or rolling out some new process, it's just not cutting it.
Not enough on its own, no.
The research we've gathered really hammers home that the real challenge isn't just what is changing, but really getting a handle on the human element of it all.
And what's fascinating there is the heavy emphasis on culture.
Ah, culture.
These sources point out that culture is so much more than, like, the written values on a poster or the official rules. Think of it more as, well, the collection of experiences, the underlying beliefs, the actual day-to-day behaviors that truly define how an organization operates.
But how things actually get done around here vibe.
Precisely. And that means for a change to really take root and last, you absolutely have to go deeper than just tweaking things on the surface.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting for me. One of the core ideas presented is that the unspoken becomes a symptom.
Powerful idea.
It implies that if something isn't being addressed, the hidden dynamics, the fears people have, the stuff nobody's saying out loud, it doesn't just disappear.
No, it festers.
Right. It shows up as problems, stagnation, dysfunction, maybe passive resistance. It really makes you wonder, why do some teams just seem to flow so easily, while others feel completely stuck, like they're dragging something heavy behind them?
And that something heavy is often the unspoken stuff, isn't it? It could be a fear of speaking up, maybe some resentment that's just simmering, or a shared belief that holds everyone back but is never actually questioned.
So if culture is that deep, and the unspoken is messing things up, how do you actually shift it? That seems like the core challenge.
It is. And this is where the sources suggest neuroscience comes in.
Neuroscience. Okay, how does that connect?
Well, specifically by linking insights from people like Daniel Kahneman. His work on why our brains inherently resist change and prefer the status quo.
System 1 and System 2 thinking, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Linking that understanding with practical models like ADCAR. ADCAR breaks down change into 5 key stages people need to move through: awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement.
Okay, so you combine the why from neuroscience with the how from a model like ADCAR.
Precisely. It gives you a much more robust framework for understanding why people react the way they do, and then guiding them through the change process more effectively.
So it's not just abstract theory then, it's about applying it.
Right.
How does that look in practice? The sources mention things like neurocoaching and experiential leadership. What does that actually mean?
Well, neurocoaching uses brain science principles to help leaders and their teams reframe challenges, work through that natural resistance, and build new habits. It's coaching informed by how our brains actually learn and adapt.
Okay, and experiential leadership.
That's less about just telling people what to do and more about creating shared experiences. Powerful moments, really. Activities or situations that help shift mindsets and perspectives on a deeper, more emotional level. It's about changing behaviors by first addressing the underlying thinking.
I see. So it's changing minds to change actions, using brain insights.
Exactly. And if you zoom out, successful cultural change isn't just about good processes or understanding brains. It absolutely needs leaders who can inspire people.
Inspiration matters.
Hugely. The source is stress, combining that neuroscience understanding with genuinely inspiring leadership and creating those powerful moments we talked about to really embed change. It's about fostering an environment where people actually want to change, not just because they have to, but because they feel supported and motivated to move forward.
That makes sense. You need the why and the how, but also the want to.
You got it.
And what feels really cutting edge in these sources is how they weave in technology.
Yeah.
Not just human factors anymore.
No, the conversation is shifting.
They talk about artificial intelligence, neuroscience, and data as like the new toolkit for leadership in this world of constant change, which suggests leadership itself needs to evolve, right?
Yeah.
To develop new skills to handle all this. But how do AI and data actually fit into something as human as cultural change? It feels a bit counterintuitive.
Well, it's not just about tracking KPIs, though that can be part of it. Think about it like this. AI could potentially analyze communication patterns, anonymized, of course, to detect subtle signs of that unspoken resistance.
Ah, so it could help make the invisible visible.
Potentially, yes. Helping leaders pinpoint where those hidden roadblocks might be. Or you could use data to personalize the change support for different people or teams, making it feel less like a one-size-fits-all mandate.
Okay, so the tech serves the human element rather than replacing it.
That's the idea. These tools can offer insights into the human dynamics at scale, helping leaders be more proactive, more targeted, maybe even more empathetic in how they manage change.
It brings together a lot of threads then. This perspective seems to offer a really integrated approach.
It does. It suggests that truly effective change, organizational, cultural demands, understanding the brain, tackling those unspoken issues, fostering inspiring leadership, and leveraging modern tools like AI and data.
Not just picking one lane.
Right. It's about building a comprehensive strategy that goes way beyond just issuing directives.
So let's bring this back. What does all this mean for you listening right now?
Yeah, the practical takeaway.
Whether you're trying to, I don't know, finally stick to a new habit, or you're leading a team through a really tricky transition, or maybe you're just trying to figure out why some projects fly and others flop. These insights offer a kind of roadmap. They really highlight that real, lasting change isn't just about the what's. It's about deeply understanding the who, the people involved, and the how, especially when you factor in our brains, our behaviors, and all those hidden cultural currents.
Absolutely. We've seen that the path to successful transformation, whether it's for a whole organization or just for yourself, really requires looking beyond the surface level. It demands an appreciation for those subtle, often unspoken parts of culture. And yeah, a willingness to dive into the neuroscience to get why we react to change the way we do. That's how you build new ways forward.
It really is. And it makes you think, doesn't it? How could understanding these unspoken things help leaders or help you tackle things differently, maybe starting tomorrow?
That's the key question.
This whole deep dive really underscores that if we want to beat that, pretty dismal 70% failure rate for change initiatives, we just have to get smarter about the human side of things.
Way around it.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on. How might paying attention to the unspoken dynamics in your own life or within your team be the actual key to unlocking that next big transformation you're hoping for?